Okay, class, before we start our lesson for today, let us pray. Miss Retanya, will you please lead the prayer?
Yes, ma'am. Heavenly Father, we praise, thank, and glorify your name. We thank you for another day that we are alive. Continue to bless our families and continue to give us strength and courage despite that we are struggling. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So, good afternoon, my dear student. How was everyone?
We are fine, ma'am.
We're doing
We are
great,
fine po,
ma'am.
ma'am.
We're
Doing
doing great
Okay,
po.
I'm happy to hear that you are all doing great. Before we proceed with the lesson, Miss Secretary, is there anybody absent today?
Nobody is absent po today, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. It is great that no one is absent today. So just a reminder, class, if you have any question, feel free to click the raise hand button and wait for me to acknowledge you before you open your microphone. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Also, class, please notify me if my audio is not clear or if I am speaking too fast, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes po.
So, for today's discussion, our topic is all about making connections between text on particular social issues, concerns, or dispositions in real life. The objective of this lesson is this module was designed for you to make connections between text on particular social issues, concerns, or dispositions in real life. There are texts and activities provided to reinforce and support your learning. In the progress of this lesson, you are expected to first identify the lesson you are identify the ideas presented in the text. Second, provide words or expressions appropriate for a given situation. And the third one, draw generalization and conclusion based on the material read. And lastly, create an infographic campaign on addressing particular social issues. So I have here a text written by Jessa Lapus, and the title of the story is Wake Up, Woken Up. I want you to take down notes of the important information because we are going to answer some questions about the story later. Is the instruction clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Wake Up, Woken Up by Jessa Lapus. Will you please read the first paragraph? Any volunteer? Okay, Miss Marika Villegas.
It was Monday and I was ready to set my foot at the school. The sun shines brightly. The streets are now busy with people who are ready to go to their respective workstations and schools. The sound of horns of Kuya who sells mandesal, different stores that are already open, public utility vehicles that are fully loaded, and different scenarios in every corner of the place. This has been the usual morning on a typical day.
Okay, will you please continue? Miss Bretanya.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay.
As I walk towards the classroom, even from the outside, you can hear the loud voices of different people inside room 206. They are probably discussing the assignment Miss Velardo gave us yesterday. When I entered the room, I gave my warmest hugs to my friends and sat down on my chair. The day was the day has begun. Teachers come and go. I have to pretend that I understood the lessons given from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. But when the teacher has said the magic words, class, class is dismissed, I quickly fix my things and ask my classmates out for some snacks and to spend an hour or two in the nearby videoke hub. Those hours are full of laughter and stories, but we have to bid our goodbye and go home. I rode the jeepney and closed my eyes.
Okay, to read the next paragraph, we had Miss Santiago.
Miss, I was awakened by the lady near me. Fix your face shield before you sleep. I mouthed thank you, sat properly, and fixed my things. It has been more than a year since that happened. The memories from the past still visit me. Those good days I shared with people normal we are used to. If I would have known that would if I would have known that would be the last day, I would have spent it more.
Okay, the next one, Mr. Magtalas, will you please read?
It has been more than a year since the news about COVID-19 broke. It has been that long since I last saw my classmates and spent time with them. Now that we are under the new mode of learning, it is a challenge to survive the self-paced education with no one to share your feelings with. It has been a couple of months since the government implemented quarantine guidelines that cost not only leisure time but also work. I can still remember the day my father went home and announced that the company he spent his 25 years with decided to shut the company down due to financial problems. Days where people starting Days where people start knocking for alms to survive a day. News bombarded with people who lost their jobs and have to spend months in the city since the lockdown began. It has been a year and more since the battle against the virus started. Frontliners offer their lives to fight for our safety. Nonetheless, we are all battling with personal and social problems.
Thank you. The fight is far from over. Tomorrow is still uncertain. Yet today is in our hands and what we can do best is to follow the protocol. One day we will wake up from this nightmare. From now, we were waking from the new normal that we have to deal with. So guys, did you like the story?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I know, right? This story is really timely with today's situation. To test if you really understood that story, here is a short activity for you to answer. Please read the question and state your answer for number one who wants to try.
Ma'am Santos po.
Okay, Miss Santos.
What day does the text mention? A.
What is your
Friday,
answer?
B. Monday, ma'am.
Okay, that is right. The answer is B, Monday. Who wants to try answering number two? Miss Navarro.
The following are the usual morning on a typical day, except one. Letter D, skiing.
Very good. Skiing is not mentioned in the story. And next number three. Any volunteer? Yes, Miss Marcelo.
Number three, what reaction or emotion can be drawn in the line? Those hours are full of laughter and stories, but we have to bid our goodbye and go home. I rode the jeepney and closed my eyes. Letter B po, reminiscing.
Okay, that is right. When we say reminiscence, it is a past event remembered by the narrator or an enjoyable experience that someone remembers. And for number four, any volunteer? Yes, Miss Villegas.
What is the effect of the new normal setup on students and workers? Letter D po, ma'am. It gives them the security to be safe and prevent the spread of the virus. It also allows them to be innovative as they adapt to a lot of changes in their usual lifestyle.
Exactly. Because of the virus, we need to follow different safety protocols to be safe. This made us more flexible to manage ourselves and adapt to the new normal setup. And for the last number, Miss Betania, yes.
Yes, ma'am. What lesson does the text want to tell you? Letter D po, ma'am. We can deal and cope up with the changes po.
Okay, thank you, Miss Betania. That's correct. Even though it is hard, we need to cope up and face the reality that this is the new normal. So thank you, class. It seems that you really understand the story. So now let us proceed with the lesson. To have a better understanding about our topic, making connections between text on particular social issues, concerns, or dispositions in real life, let us go and dig deeper. So will you please read Miss Pacheco what's on your screen?
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Pacheco.
Literature has always been one effective way to explore and address social issues in human culture. Stories, plays, and other types of fictional media often have some social or cultural concern embedded in the thematic background of a narrative. Wilkerson 2020, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Miss Pacheco. So just like the story we have earlier, this is an example of our topic for today. Social issues or problems are prevalent in all cultures. A social issue or problem is an issue that has been recognized by society as a problem that is preventing society from functioning at an optimal level. It often becomes a topic in a literary work that reflects the occurrences that the author sees in the contemporary work. Again, just like the story we had earlier, the problem stated there is the spreading of the virus COVID-19 that lead us to the new normal setup. To help us locate social issues in a text, here are some steps that you should follow. So will you please, we have here annotate, understand the character's action. The third one is recognize the context. And the fourth one is state the theme. Will you please read the first step? Any volunteer who wants to read? Yes, Miss Navarro.
Write down your thoughts and feelings as you read a text. Take note of its plot of sequence of events that occur. Highlight or circle any unfamiliar words you encounter and find their definition through contextual analysis for a better understanding of a text.
Okay, thank you, Miss Navarro. Annotate. When we say annotate, it is when you add notes to a text and give an explanation or your own comment. It is important to remember the flow of the events in the story. If you encounter unfamiliar words, write it down and take time to find its meaning. Annotating can help you understand the text more. So the next step, who wants to read? It is the second step. Yes, Miss Villegas.
Understand the character's actions. Evaluate the character's traits and role. Speculate their actions and decisions considering the context they experience. Try to put yourself in the character's situation.
Thank you, Miss Villegas. It is character analysis. So when we say character analysis, it is when we identify the character's traits, their role in the story, and conflicts they experience. You can also try to put yourself in the character's shoes. So any questions so far, class?
None, ma'am.
None,
None,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So let us proceed with step 3. Who wants to read? Yes, Miss Santos.
Recognize the context. Consider the societal issues the character and author experience by identifying the time, location, and social environment they are in. Remember that a text is a reflection of the society the characters and author live in. in as well as the idea they have about that time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Santos. Always remember to take down notes of the information like the time, location, and social environment they are in. These are all related to the society and what they are experiencing during that time. So for the last step, who wants to read? Yes, Miss Santiago.
State the theme. After exploring these aspects, you should be able to identify the subject or main idea of a text. Ask yourself what an author is trying to tell you or show you through his writing. Making connections of a text to social issues is now easy once you determine its theme.
Thank you, Ms. Santiago. So as you read the text, it is important to analyze its context to be able to identify the theme. Some examples of a theme are love, patriotism, justice, and the likes. So those are the steps in locating social issues. So again, will you please repeat the four steps in locating social issues? Any volunteer? Yes, Miss Marcelo.
The first one is annotate. Then we should understand the character's action. The third step is to be able to recognize the context. And the last step is state the theme.
Okay, very good. Do you have any questions or clarification before we proceed?
None,
None so
ma'am.
far po, ma'am.
Not so far, ma'am.
Okay, so here's a short activity for you guys. What you're going to do is to analyze what social issues are presented in the situation and choose what communicative style is used in each dialogue. So, in each number, you should have two answers. Is the instruction clear?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will give you 5 minutes to finish this activity. So, you may start. So, guys, are you done? Time is up. Are you finished answering the activity?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, now let us answer each situation. So, sorry. So, for situation one, Mayor, how did Sangguniang ng Kabataan come up with the idea of community pantry as well as providing an efficient alternative to help the kabataan ng bayan to cope with the new normal or new normal setup? What do you think is the answer? Yes, Miss Santos?
Ma'am, I think it is economic and formal po.
Okay, that is correct. It is economic because the situation implies the consumption and distribution of goods or the community pantry, and it is formal because it is public speaking in a formal setting. So how about for situation number two? Will you please read the situation and share your answer? Any volunteer? Yes, Miss Villegas.
Situation number two. Did you see how everyone is losing their motivation in learning? We are too bombarded and exhausted with lots of modules, activities, and other requirements. It's exhausting. Mom, my answer is education, and for the communicative style po is casual.
Very good, Miss Villegas. Okay, because we all know that in the new normal setting, we cannot go to school and have face-to-face classes. That is why modules are distributed. It is casual because it is a typical conversation between our friends or classmates. So for the next situation, who wants to try? Yes, Mr. Magdalas.
Situation number three. So you're experiencing fever for 3 days now. Are you feeling any other problems like sore throat, headaches, chest pains, or shortness of breath? Yes, doc, I have a cough and I've been getting severe headaches. I feel dizzy all the time, but I don't experience chest pains. Um, Ma'am, my answer is health and consultative.
So can you explain your answer?
Yes, ma'am. I think it is health because in the text there are terms like fever, sore throat, and chest pain, which are health problems. Um, it is also consultative because it is a conversation between a doctor and a patient, ma'am.
Okay, very good, Mr. Magdalas. So let us have situation number 4. Yes, Miss Retania, share your answer. Read first the situation and then share your answer.
Situation number 4. Son, as stated on the news report about the enhanced community quarantine we've seen earlier, we aren't allowed to go out. Starting today, you cannot go out and play outdoors with your friends. It's for your safety and ours from the virus. My answer in situation number 4 po is lockdown and intimate.
That's right, Miss Retania. Just like what you have experienced, you are not allowed to go out, especially the young ones during lockdown. Remember when the quarantine pass is given and only one person can go out to buy the essentials of the whole family? Do you experience that?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. So
Yes,
we all
ma'am.
experience that time. So to add to this, it is intimate because it is a conversation between a father and a son or a family member. Okay, so let us move on with situation number 5. Who wants to share the answer? Yes, Miss Navarro.
Yesterday, the Interagency Task Force protocols and guidelines on the implementation of community quarantine were released. We must read and follow them. I think my answer is government protocols and frozen.
That's correct. Can you explain your answer, Miss Navarro?
Yes, ma'am. I answered government protocols because um, it is clearly stated in the text, and frozen because final. It is final, and the listener or reader cannot question the speaker.
Okay, thank you, Miss Navarro. All your answers are great. Thank you for participating in the short activity. Are you ready to proceed with the discussion?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So, after the 4 steps in locating social issues, we also have the things to consider in making connections with the text. Before we proceed, why do you think it is important that we make connections with the text? Why do you think? Yes, Miss Santiago?
Ma'am, because when we relate to the text that we are reading, it helps us remember the events that happen in the textbook.
Oh, that's great. How about Miss Pacheco? Why do you think it is important to make connections with the text?
Mom, because making connections with the text can help us visualize the situation, especially if we already experience the same situation that the character is experiencing po.
Okay, very good. So, making connections is one of the critical reading comprehension strategies that will help you make meaning of the text you are reading. As you make connections to the text, it will help you make sense of what you read, retain the information better, and engage more with the text itself. This is this will also help you connect your prior knowledge, experiences, understanding, and beliefs in the text. You you can make different kinds of connections for better comprehension through the first one, text to self connections, the second one, text to text connections, and the last one is text to world connection. Let us define it individually. The first one is text to self connection. Please read its definition, Mr. Magtalas.
Text to self connection. This connection will help you connect what you are reading to your personal experiences or knowledge. As you have a wide range of experiences, you will be able to make more meaningful and complex connections. But if you have limited experiences, you may struggle to make connections or create vague general connections.
Thank you, Mr. Magtalas. So, for example, is when we say, this story reminds me of a vacation that I took to the ocean, just like the main character. So, it is when we relate our personal experiences to the text that can help us remember and understand the text better. So, how about text to text connection? Please read what's on your screen, Miss Santiago.
Text to text connections. This connection will help you connect what you are reading to other text to other books that you have read or listened to before. You might relate how the books share the same author and have similar characters, events, or settings, are the same genre, or are on the same topic. A significant text-to-text connection occurs when you can apply what you've read from one text to another text.
Okay, thank you, Miss Santiago. So, for example, is when we say, I read another book about spiders that explained the spiders have venom, and in this book, I am learning about the top 10 dangerous spiders of the world. So, it is when you recognize details or scenarios from a different text and connect it with another text. It is the application of what you already know from the text that you finish reading or listening to. That is why you can make connections between text to another text. And lastly, we have text to world connections. Will you please read Miss Villegas?
Textual connections. This connection will help you connect what you are reading to real events, past or present, social issues, other people, and happenings on in the world. You have learned about the world from what you hear on TV, in movies, magazines, and newspapers. Effective text to world connections happen when you can use what you have learned through these mediums to enhance your understanding of the text that you are reading.
Okay, thank you, Miss Villegas. So now we are relating the text to the real events. So now we are relating the text to the real events. It is the connection between the text and the events of the world. So these three connections are most meaningful and effective when we can create deep, complex, and insightful connections to the text, rather than vague, general, or superficial connections. To sum, to sum it up, here is a summary of the three text connections. So, ayan. So, class, do you have any questions or something to clarify?
None so
Not
far,
ma'am.
ma'am.
None so far po, ma'am.
None, ma'am.
Okay, so let us recall. What are the four steps in locating social issues? Yes, Miss Santiago.
The four steps in locating the social issues are the following. The first one is annotate. Then we should understand the character's actions. The third step is to be able to recognize the context. And the last step is state the theme.
Good job. So, how about the three kinds of connections for better comprehension? Yes, Mr. Magtalas.
Ma'am, the three kinds of connections for better comprehensions are text to self connection, text to text connections, and text to world connections.
Very good. It seems that you really listened and took down notes. So now let us have the types of connections before I give you an activity. Before we proceed, I have a question. What do you think will happen if I drop a ping pong ball into the glass of water? Any idea? Yes, Miss Villegas?
Ma'am, I think the ping pong ball will float po.
Correct. The ping pong ball will float. Let's wait for the slide. Okay. But how about if I drop a golf ball into the glass of water? What do you think will happen? Yes, Miss Navarro?
Ma'am, I think it will sink po.
Why do you think it will sink?
Una. Um, um, because ma'am, it is heavier compared to the ping pong ball po.
Okay, very good. I ask you this question because it is the representation and how we are going to define the two types of connections. So the two types of connections are surface connections and the other one is deep connections. Surface connections do not help us understand the story any better. They just sit on the surface of the text just like a ping pong ball when it is dropped into a glass of water. And when we say deep connection, it helps us understand the story and infer the author's message. We go deeper to convey the message of the text and we try to relate with the character or the author of the text. So here is the illustration of a surface connection and deep connection. So class, do you understand our lesson for today?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
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 Do you have something to ask about the lesson?
None so far, ma'am.
None,
None,
ma'am.
ma'am.
None, ma'am.
So, is there something you don't understand?
None, ma'am.
None, ma'am.
If there's none, I guess we can now have the quiz. So, for your quiz, I will post it in our Google Classroom and try to answer it after our online meeting. I will open the link for only 1 hour. Make sure to submit your work before I close the Google form. If you have questions about the quiz, message me in our group chat. Is my instruction clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So for your assignment, you are going to create an infographic campaign on addressing particular social issue. Social issues rather. Here is an example of an infographics, and for the criteria, will you please read, Mr. Magtalas?
Criteria for the infographic. Relevance to the topic, organization of ideas, 5 points. Details, 5 points. Presentation, 5 points. Formatting, 5 points. Graphics relevance, 5 points. Mechanics, 5 points. Total of 30 points.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Magtalas. So I will post this in our Google Classroom and I will indicate the deadline of submission. Do you have any question, class, regarding our assignment?
None, ma'am.
None,
None.
ma'am.
And
None, ma'am.
Are you sure?
yes
Yes,
po.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So remember to be creative with your work. So here are my references. And that's all for today. Thank you for being active in today's class. See you next meeting and God bless you all. Goodbye, class.
Goodbye, ma'am.
Thank
Bye,
you, ma'am.